Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. Today I'll be showing you a project that I've been working on since about maybe mid-December. So this is an X-Men Master Mold Sentinel Supreme by Juno Cyrus 86 on Instagram. So it's probably the hardest part was printing all of the pieces. It stands at about 800 millimeters or about 31.5 inches tall. And it took me about 2 weeks to print all the parts, as I mentioned. Majority has been printed with a Bamboo P1S FDM printer using Polymaker Polylite filaments. And then I printed the more detailed parts like the face and the hands using the Tough74 resin from Resione. I tried to print the fingers with filament, but it was too rough and I lost all the details. I then decided to print these using the Tough74 resin, which is kind of like an ABS-like, and it's been great. As you can see here, lots of details, very smooth. I just had to apply some nail polish to the joints so it's a little bit more snug. As you can see, it's a little loose. Since this was a big project, I wanted to add LEDs so it would look nicer in the display, but the biggest issue was that there was no compartment for a battery. So I edited the belly part of the model in Nomad and printed the parts. I just needed to do some more adjustments afterwards, but it all worked out well. Yeah, so I bought some 9-volt battery packs from Amazon. I think a 5-pack was about $12 or something like that. But yeah, 9-volt battery, and then here's the belly part. As you can see, it's just solid surface, so I had to edit it out to carve out the square rectangle part for the battery compartment. That's the reprinted one, so that looks really good. It fits nicely, but then I had to modify the battery pack so it would be much easier to open up. Yeah, so as you can see here, it fits okay, but then I have to put it on the blue part first before it could snap in. But I didn't see the final design where it will be covered up by another blue part, so that didn't work out. So I did then eventually have to cut it into just the connector part for the battery. So now with just the top part of the battery pack, the lid closes nicely without getting stuck. Just comes off really easily. So that worked out. So here I'm just planning out how I'm gonna drill the layout for the wires. So as you can see, lots of sections here, different parts, and then I have to go all the way up to the chest part from the belly. So I'm just making sure that I have, and I drill it in the right spots, otherwise I'm gonna ruin the prints. With drilling here, I'm starting off where the battery is gonna be, so the belly there, just drilling a hole all the way up to the upper part of the belly that's connecting to the chest, and now I'm drilling a bigger hole to the chest part where the chest LEDs are gonna be. So with this one, I'm just splicing some of the wires so I can hook them up to the battery pack. I don't have much experience with this one, it looked pretty straightforward, so I was just gonna hook up both of the wires and then clean it up with some heat shrink tubing. So with this one, I think we're mostly done with all the wiring. I just have to put them all in the right spot. So now I'm hooking it up, or I'm threading or routing some of the wires up into the chest area. That's all gonna go up to the neck where there's like a wire guide in there to go to the head LEDs. But yeah, I'll show you that in a little bit. Yeah, so it looks like everything lights up. So yeah, we're good to go to assemble the whole thing. Alright, so we are ready to put the parts together. If you're planning to do this specific model, make sure that you are ready to print for at least 2 weeks if you have one printer. I used a Bamboo P1S printer for this one, so that's actually pretty fast compared to other printers in the market there, but still took me that long. And I think midway through printing I was able to get another P1S, so I had 2 printers then. It still took me almost 2 weeks to print everything that I have here. So all in all, I believe I used about 10 spools, and that includes reprints. I did use Polymaker Polylite filaments for these, about 2 to 3 spools of purple, 2 blues, 2 black, and 2 to 3 spools of gray. For the hands, the fingers, the face, and some of the more smaller, more detailed parts, I did resin print them using a Saturn 4 Ultra by Elegoo. And I did use, again, Resione Tough74, so it's kind of like an ABS like resin, so it's very tough and it works great for this purpose here. So all in all, I calculated it to be roughly about 230 to maybe about 300 US dollars. Depends really if there's a sale for all of the materials, and I think that kind of includes the screws that I used and the LED lights as well. But luckily for me, I was sponsored by Resione and Polymaker in making this resin. So again, huge shout out to Polymaker and Resione for all of your help for this project. But yeah, so when making this model, just also anticipate that there will be issues with having loose joints because of printer settings and other factors like that. So try to fit the parts before gluing anything, especially the joints. So I made the mistake of doing that, and I ended up gluing things before I checked for loose joints. So it did take me so much time in fixing those issues. So what worked for me is using painter's tape to add extra thickness to the joints. You also want the leg, hip, and arm joints to be very snug, especially since this is quite a heavy figure. So for the fingers as well, I did use, instead of the tape that's kind of impossible with the small fingers there, I did use nail polish clear coat, and that worked really well with making the finger joints tight. The figure comes with an LED wire guide as well, but unfortunately I had to use a different type, so that was a bit of a challenge. As you saw, I did drill a bit of holes to wire it all the way up to the head and get the parts to the chest and all of that. But aside from that, everything else worked great. The model looks amazing, and the maker of the model, Juno Cyrus, will also provide you with a throne for the Sentinel figure once you are done with building it. So that was pretty amazing. Alright, so here's the completed figure. I'm just showing you the battery compartment that I added. So you can see the cover just snaps in place and it's covered up by another blue part to hold it together. Yeah, so the figure looks really nice once it's dark and you can show all the LEDs lighting up, especially in display. It looks amazing. Alright, here's the master mold Sentinel beside my 7-inch figures. So you can see it just towers over everything. Also, here's some photos that I took of the figure. There's the freebie throne that I was talking about coming up. Again, shout out to Jun Osiris86 for the model from Instagram, and massive thanks to Polymaker and Resione for making this possible. See you in the next one.